Good afternoon. My name is Ansley Stewart. I am one of the clinical librarians at Kornhauser Health Sciences Libraries, and today we're going to talk about uh, getting started with EndNote. First, how to download it, then how to get resources into EndNote, how to best use the desktop version of EndNote and connecting it to your online account of EndNote, and then how to use EndNote in your Word document so that you can have it add in in-text citations and write up the bibliography for you. I'll first apologize off the top. Coming, I'm on the tail end of a cold, so I apologize for audio quality as it is with my voice right now. Um, but we'll go ahead and power through. So if you're ever in need of how to get back to how to get started with EndNote, you'll come to the Kornhauser Health Sciences Library homepage here today. And you click on Help and Services, and under Help and Services, we have under Find Help EndNote Training, which is likely how many of you ended up signing up for today. Um, so we have a number of resources on our library webpage here of EndNote trainings. If you ever need to sign up for another training, we have monthly trainings. They are all the same in terms of introduction to EndNote and how to best get started with it. This is myself speaking with you. This is Christina Block, who is on our Belknap campus, and we both teach EndNote. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact either one of us. Um, but if you're completely new to EndNote, or if you're new to EndNote with the computer that you're currently using, you can download EndNote by starting off on our page here, selecting Download EndNote Desktop on the left-hand side, and then selecting U of L's web store. And we have about a 3-minute video here that walks you step by step how to download EndNote, but you'll click on the web store, you'll click on EndNote 21 to download, and then proceed from there as if you were checking out something online. Of course, it's free to you as a University of Louisville member, um, and then you'll download it as you normally would with any other kind of computer software. I will say that if you already downloaded it or you're about to download it, either way, you're going to start getting pop-ups soon with EndNote about EndNote 25, 2025. So when you click on the U of L's web store, the one you'll want to download is EndNote 21, and that's the one I'll be showing you how to use today. As I said, you'll be getting pop-ups soon about looking into EndNote 2025, which is the most current version of EndNote that they just put out a month or two ago. The university has not purchased that licensing yet. It takes a little bit of time. I spoke with IT recently about it, but that'll be coming up soon. Probably not until next year, though. Like I said, it takes about a little bit of turnaround time. But I spoke with the people who work for Clarivate, the company that owns EndNote. Honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between the EndNote 21 and EndNote 2025 that we have coming up here. It seems like most of the modification with EndNote 2025, with a lot of software right now, is that they're adding an AI feature. And from my understanding, that AI feature is mostly just them being able to summarize the full text of articles and give you a summary of it. Kind of not unlike abstracts that you would already have, but so again, 2025 to come later, but we're not going to learn it until obviously we use it as a university. A little footnote, if you have trouble downloading EndNote 21, the software, to your computer, you'll need to speak to IT about how to download it. Like I said, they're the ones who purchased the licensing, and troubleshoot with actually getting the software to you. Once you have the software EndNote 21 up and running, I can help you use it. So I'm happy to help with any trouble you might have using EndNote 21, but if it's a matter of actually getting EndNote 21 onto your computer, you will need to speak to the university's IT about that. So, like I said, video here if you need it. And for those who came in, uh, first we're going to go over how to get references into your EndNote library. And when I say library, I'm referencing EndNote's, the EndNote's files. They refer to them as libraries. And then we'll learn about how to better use EndNote's libraries, how to organize your EndNote library, and in part 3, I will show you how to use EndNote within your word processor. And again, apologies, I'm coming off the tail end of a cold, so apologies for the quality of my voice right now. Um, but let's start with looking at EndNote itself. So like I said, EndNote calls its files libraries. So when I say an EndNote library, this is what I'm referring to. This is my own personal EndNote library. Most people work out of a singular EndNote library. They just keep all their references in one. I do as well. Um, and so as you can see, I have a large number of them because I've been working on it for a number of years and obviously have a lot of projects. And then you can kind of group your various projects within groups here. You can see my groups. Um, so it used to be that if you wanted to share your EndNote references with someone, you had to share your entire EndNote library with them. And so usually people had multiple EndNote libraries, but they've since changed that so you can just share a group within EndNote to someone. But we're going to create a new EndNote library, work out of a fresh one together. So I'm working out of Windows operating system today. The EndNote is slightly different between Windows operating and Mac operating systems, and I'll point out the small differences between the two to you. They're largely just vocabulary differences, but I'll point them out as we go along. So I'm going to open up a new EndNote library so we can work out of a fresh one together. And when you create a new EndNote library, which again, if you're adding EndNote to a brand new computer, the EndNote desktop version here to a new computer, or you're just opening up a new library, you'll want to save it to your computer's actual hard drive. So I usually save mine in my documents folder on my computer. Just the important thing to remember is EndNote is only compatible with its own cloud system. So do not save your EndNote library or any of the accompanying files to a outside cloud system or network drive. Make sure you're saving it to your computer's actual hard drive, because if you save it to, if you have your desktop backed up to SharePoint or something like that, your EndNote library isn't going to be able to connect to your Word document that's trying to connect to when the time comes to write up your Word document. And at some point, EndNote is going to possibly be the references might become corrupted if it is backed up to an outside cloud system other than its own. So I'll repeat that another time or two during this training, but just letting you know, do not save EndNote to a cloud system or a network drive. It is just not compatible. And wherever you do save it to on your hard drive, you're gonna have to, that's where it's going to link to. So if you ever try and save it or move it somewhere else on an external hard drive or something, you're basically gonna have to create a new EndNote library and just sync your EndNote Online account to that one. And I'll show you how to do that as we go on. So I know there's a lot of upfront information that doesn't apply right away, but just letting you know because unfortunately EndNote doesn't make it terribly clear. So circling back to our main path, we're creating a new EndNote library. So I'm going to just title it September EndNote library. Like I said, I tend to save mine to my documents folder on my hard drive, but as long as it's saved to your hard drive, you are good. And so obviously a new EndNote library is going to be blank. And how do we get references into here? EndNote does have an online search feature, which means you can search within databases within the EndNote library. I do not recommend using this feature because it's a very clunky way of searching and it's not reproducible, and it's especially for subject searches. If you already have the full citation of the reference that you want, you can go ahead and put in the author's name and title and what have you. But like I said, it's a very clunky way of searching. If you don't have the right punctuation, like a period after an author's initial or what have you, it may not return what you want it to. So but you can search for that if you would like. Um, again, it's not a good way to subject search, and that's typically what I find people want. So by subject searching, I always recommend pulling references from the actual databases and putting them into your EndNote library. So that's why I start off on the libraries, our university library's homepage here. Um, and I'm just going to show you how to pull references from PubMed and EBSCOhost databases and Google Scholar. So PubMed, let's say we're writing a paper on lung cancer, and that's just going to be our running theme for today, is we're going to write a paper on lung cancer. So we'll do our subject search of lung cancer here. And obviously it comes up with a lot of different results because it's a very large topic. So click on one of these articles on the top article here, and we do a quick glance over and say, okay, this looks good. Let's add it to our EndNote library. You do so by clicking Send to, Citation Manager, Create File. The file will then download to your web browser, wherever that may be for whichever web browser you're using. I'm using Google Scholar. I do tend to recommend Google Scholar over things like Microsoft Edge or Safari because it tends to work a little better, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference with EndNote. And so once the reference file has downloaded to your web browser, you'll open it, and then mine has already had the settings preset because obviously I've been working with EndNote for a while, but it will import into your EndNote library here as it did, as you saw. Again, once you're working out of EndNote for the first time on a computer, if you're adding it to a new computer, it will come up with a little window asking which program you wish to open the reference file with, and of course you'll select EndNote, and then after that, it knows to automatically direct the reference file into EndNote. There's multiple types of reference files, like there's period NBIB, like you would get from a PubMed or a Medline database. There's also our .ref, I think is just one. Just pointing out that from the various databases, you might have to do the select which program to open up your reference file with a few times, but after that, it'll know to select to automatically open with EndNote once you click the downloaded file. Going back to PubMed here, you have the option of selecting multiple references at once from the search results list here. And we can do the same exact thing. Click Send to, select Citation Manager because EndNote is a citation management program. Create file, and then it'll do the same thing it did before. Download our reference file. It's just going to be a singular reference file for all these 5 references. It'll download it to your web browser. You'll double click the downloaded file when it's finished downloading, and then it'll import itself into your EndNote file here, or sorry, your EndNote library. And so that's how you do so with PubMed to get references in there. Again, send to, citation manager, create file, wait for it to download to your web browser, click it open, and then it'll import into your EndNote library. For our EBSCOhost databases, moving on, I'm going to choose, let's see, psych info here. So when I say EBSCOhost databases, this is the layout that I'm referring to. EBSCOhost is a producer of a number of different databases, more than care to list. Sorry, I will get to um, if there's questions in the chat, I'll try and answer them if they are whatever I'm talking about in the moment. If they're individual questions, I always leave time at the end to answer people's individual questions as we go on. Or if it's something, like I said, if something I'm talking about in that moment, feel free to put in the chat or unmute yourself, and I will try to answer your question in that time. So as I was saying, EBSCOhost is a producer of multiple different databases. Here I can just pull up a listing of a number of different ones that they have and that our university subscribes to. And across various subject matters. So the point being, if you come across a database that had this kind of layout, and you'll see the U of L University Libraries logo here in the corner, then this is how you're going to pull a reference from them and put it into EndNote. So again, we're going to do our lung cancer search. And let's just go ahead and click on the first one here and say, okay, that will work for our paper. We're going to click on the little cite icon here, so the quotation icon, and when you hover over it, it says cite. Click on that, and you click export citation here, and click export in RIS format. You can even see right here that lists EndNote as one of the examples of a citation management program that you can export into. So export in RIS format. It does the same thing where it downloads the reference file to our browser. We will click open the downloaded reference file. And then it uploads into our EndNote library. So EndNote, especially when you add new references to it, is always going to show you the most recently imported reference. And as you can see by the title right here, and I think that worries some people because they'll come back to EndNote and they'll just see one reference when they know they've added other things. Not to worry, there are all of our references here. It's just going to show you the most recently imported references, but it does keep all your references right here until you tell it to put something in the trash. So not to worry, it's not going to delete anything without your notice, as long as you, again, have saved your EndNote library to somewhere on an actual hard drive and not an outside cloud system or a network drive. So just a refresher, again, if you're in an EBSCOhost database, to download a reference, you just click on Cite here. You'll click Export Citation, and you'll click Export in RIS format. And RIS format is just another reference type. You'll do the same thing as PubMed, which is click Export in RIS format. It'll download to your web browser. You click the downloaded file from the web browser, and it imports into EndNote. So moving on to Google Scholar. Whoops, that's not how you spell Scholar. There we go. Google Scholar is a little different because you have to go into the settings for it to apply. So when we do a search on lung cancer, you can see right here, I have import into EndNote, and that's applicable to all of the search results here in the search results listing. However, to get that, we have to go into our settings. So you'll go into the little 3-line, I've heard some people refer to it as a burger, pull down, and you'll go to click on settings from there, and then you'll select at the very bottom under Bibliography Manager, you will select Show Links to Import Citations into, make sure that is selected, and make sure EndNote is selected and the drop down there. So again, the 3-line tab, select Settings, select the very bottom option under Bibliography Manager, and make sure EndNote is selected, and then click Save. And you'll see then import into EndNote is going to be an option with each of your search results as well. Because if that was not in our settings, if we hadn't done that in the settings, then there would just be nothing there, and you would not have the option to then click it and import into EndNote and do the same thing that we have with the other databases, which is obviously select import into EndNote. It'll download the reference file. We will then click that open from our downloaded browser history. And then it didn't open up my EndNote library, but it did download the one that I just asked it to focus on lung cancer here. So that is pretty much it for getting references into EndNote from databases. I will show quickly that in the libraries catalog as well. So if we go to lung cancer, if we do a search within our university libraries catalog, and we wish to add a book from our libraries catalog, we have the EndNote. Oh, sorry. Sometimes it could be a little slow depending on how many people are using it. So we want to download a book from our or citation information about a book from our libraries catalog, our university libraries catalog. We can do so. So we click on this one here. Again, this is a book that is accessible through our university libraries. And similar to the EBSCO databases, you'll click on Cite here, and you click Export Citation, and then you'll click Export in RIS format. And again, same thing, download the reference file to your web browser, double-click it open, and then it imports into your EndNote library. And this is, again, a book instead of an article from a database, but it's pulling it from our university libraries catalog. So just as easy. And unfortunately, you're typically not going to find books in databases as often, so it's usually easier to pull from library catalogs. And most of them do have the option of having the preset reference file for you to pull, like we do here at University of Louisville. So that's how you pull references into EndNote library, but of course that's not probably going to be all the references you need. There may not be a preset reference file for the reference that you need, and of course EndNote knows that and allows you to create your own reference. So when you're in your EndNote library here, there's a little clipboard icon with the plus symbol in it, and if you hover over it, it says add a new reference, and you click on that, and you create your own reference to add to your EndNote library here. So it'll open up a new window, and you'll see up at the top, new reference to add to our EndNote library. And the first thing you'll do is select which reference type you need to, you're making a reference for. And there are a lot of options here. So journal article being, excuse me, journal article being the most common. But of course there's, conference papers, dictionary entries, encyclopedias, grants, interviews, patents, podcast, social media, theses, television, web page is what you would use for a website. So, and if for whatever reason any of these reference types don't work for you, there are what EndNote calls unused, and you can create your own for whatever that might be. And so I'm just going to create a book reference here for us. So I'm going to select book, and I'm just going to say that I wrote this and back in 2018. And then do try and fill out, when you're creating a reference in EndNote, do try and fill out as much of the pertinent information as you can, because depending on which citation style you're using for your paper, obviously different citation styles are going to require different information. So some require the date of access, some require, the DOI, the digital object identifier. If you are doing a journal article, some require the ISBN, the international book number, if you're doing a book. So here's all of the possible identifiers for whatever reference you are creating, and again, tailored to when you select the reference type. So do try and fill out as much pertinent information as you can, so that way EndNote can give you the best citation when you're writing your paper later, depending on whatever the citation style requires for the reference type. I know it's kind of a lot of upfront work, but it truly does save you time writing your paper later, on the back end. So it takes a little bit of time to learn how to use EndNote, but I promise you're gonna wish you did this when you're done writing your paper. You don't have to then go back in and hand add all of your bibliography and citations yourself. EndNote can do it for you. So when you are done adding in all of the information to the reference that you're creating, you'll click Save, and you can exit out of that window, and then you can see your created reference here. And there you go. And then it'll show you an example of what your reference would look like depending on which citation style you need. So if APA, here's what that would look like, etc. So now that we're done with part one of getting references into our EndNote library, we're going to move on to part two of our training, how to best use our EndNote library. And we're actually going to start by going back to the web browser and making sure that our EndNote online account is set up and synced to our EndNote library. Because as I was saying, our EndNote library, we cannot save them to an external cloud system, and EndNote is only compatible with its own. So we're going to go to myendnoteweb.com, and I'll put that in the chat as well, so you all have it. So this is where you're going to create your EndNote online account, which is your way of backing up your EndNote library to a cloud system, because as I said, EndNote is only compatible with its own cloud system. So if you're new to this, you'll just click register. You'll put in the email address that you want to use. It does not have to be your university or hospital email address. It can be your personal email address if you wish, just whichever one you are going to be able to access later. And then your name, first and last name, and the CAPTCHA. You'll hit register. It'll send you a registration email. And when you get that registration email, you will, select to verify, and then you'll come back to www.myendnoteweb.com to then do the actual login here. So, and then when you sign in, of course, your EndNote online account will be blank for the first time, because then we have to still we still have to sync our EndNote library to our online account. So it'll be blank the first time you open it, but it'll look something like this, minus the references that you see here. So you'll create the online account, make sure you can open it through the registration confirmation email, and then you will come back to your EndNote library on your desktop here, and we're going to sync it to our EndNote online account. So you'll go to EndNote preferences if you're using Windows. If you're using a Mac operating system, instead of File, it'll say EndNote here for the dropdown. So if you're using a Mac operating system, you'll click the EndNote dropdown and click Settings. If you're using the Windows operating system, you'll click Edit Preferences. It pulls up the same window. I'm not sure why they label them separately for the two computer operating systems, but Preferences/Settings, it pulls up the same window. It's the same thing, other than what they're being called. And you'll click on Sync which is the fourth one from the bottom in the preferences window. And you'll put in the same email address and the same password that you did for your EndNote Online account. And you'll hit apply and hit OK. And then you'll come over here to sync configuration and click sync now. And when you do that, if you already have any preferences in your EndNote Online account, synced to your EndNote Online account, then it'll start downloading it to your EndNote library here. So EndNote pretty much expects you to work out of a singular EndNote library, or at least a connected EndNote library. So if you have an EndNote library another EndNote library that is synced to your EndNote Online account, and you sync any other EndNote libraries to your EndNote Online account, then it's just going to download and sync any of the current references that you have to your EndNote Online account. So that's what I was saying earlier. If you ever move an EndNote library to somewhere else on your desktop, you're basically just gonna open up a new EndNote library and sync it to your EndNote Online account. So that way it just downloads everything from your EndNote Online account to there. EndNote is pretty much I can re-show you. Yes, so again, syncing. Let me just redo that for you. You'll go to Edit Preferences, or if you're using a Mac, you'll do EndNote Settings. Again, Settings/Preferences, same thing. You'll select Sync here in the Preferences window, and then you'll put in the same email and password. You'll hit Apply. You'll hit OK, and then you will go to Sync Configuration and click Sync Now. And that should back everything up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm Jasmine, by the way. I'm using a Mac,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see what you're talking
Okay,
about when
so
it comes to the. So I'm on the where I'm logged in. I'm logged into EndNote, Clarivate EndNote on my EndNoteWeb.com.
mm-hmm.
I'm on the main screen, but then you're saying what's next?
You go to your EndNote library.
EndNote. Well, I don't have a library yet.
Okay, then you will do this at a later time.
Oh, I need a lot. Well, I was adding things in under the EndNote app. Is that what you mean? I'm
Uh,
confused.
are you using EndNote Online, or are you using the EndNote desktop version?
Um, Not the application. Right now, I just made and activated the my EndNoteWeb.com.
Okay, yeah, so you're using EndNote Online, and after you download EndNote 21, the desktop version,
I
so
have.
that you can sync.
I've done that too. I was doing
Okay,
it all while while you were telling me.
okay, so you will just do what I've gone over. You'll go to your EndNote library here, and you'll go to Edit and Preferences and Sync.
See,
But
file edit. I'm not seeing those. I'm not seeing any of your screen. I'm not seeing that.
okay, well, we'll take care of your problem at the end then.
Okay.
So I'll stay online for however long it takes to help you with that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So once you have synced your EndNote Online account, then you can start sharing your EndNote groups with other folks. So if you're working out of a group project together, you can do that. So if we go back to all references here, we can create a group. So group basically just act as folders in EndNote. So if you do create group, you just see new group here, and we'll just call it lung cancer because that's the project we are creating right now. And you will just select which references you wish to add to your created group here. So if I just do, I'm just gonna do Control A, select all of mine, and drag and drop them into lung cancer. And then you can, I'm going to switch back over to my main EndNote account, my main EndNote library here, because that is backed up and synced to my EndNote Online account, and therefore I can start sharing groups with others. So let's say I'm working out of my diabetes group here. I would just do right click, create group. Oh, I'm sorry, running on autopilot here. Right click to share group. So select the group you wish to share, right click, click share group, and then you will put in the email addresses of the people that you wish to share your EndNote group with. They do have to be the email addresses that uh, the people you're sharing with already have to have an EndNote Online account on their end, meaning they EndNote Online accounts are free and available to anyone. The EndNote Desktop is what people pay for, what the university pays for, or if you ever leave and wish to have your own account, you could pay for that. But of course, it's free to you, free to us as university members. Um, but if you're ever working with someone at a different institution and they don't have access to EndNote, the desktop version, the EndNote Online account is free and available to anyone. So you could still work together on a project using EndNote if you would like. But whoever you're working with does already have to have their EndNote Online account already set up. And so whatever email they are using their EndNote Online account with is how you're going to invite them to share this group with you. So put in the corresponding email that they have, select read and write or read only permission. Read and write means they have editing permission, so they can see the group. And if they see something that's wrong with it, maybe that there's the author's name is spelled wrong or something, they can go in and edit that. So I do caution people on when they share which permission they offer. So read and write means they can edit as well, and read only means they can, you know, only view the references. Um, and you can go in and change the permissions after inviting people to share the group as well. So it's not uh, too much of an error if you wish to change that afterwards. You can create a little message if you wish, and then you will click invite. And they have to accept that they'll get an email invitation to share the EndNote group on their end when you invite them. And then at the end, they have to accept the email invitation. And of course, like I said, they already have to have the corresponding EndNote Online account with whatever email you sent it to them with. Um, you can share your entire EndNote library if you wish. Like I said, people tend not to do that because if you share your entire EndNote library, then they see your entire EndNote library. Um, and most people tend to keep their projects separated by groups. But if you wish to do that, you could just go to File Share or EndNote Share if you're using a Mac operating system. Click Share and do the same thing. It'll simply say sharing at the top rather than what group you're sharing. So you know that you're sharing your entire EndNote library rather than just a group here. Um, so like I said, a little bit of backup to before we get started on how to better use EndNote. So now we've covered how to get references into EndNote, how to share with other people, how to sync up our EndNote so that EndNote Online, we have our EndNote Online created and have our EndNote library synced and backed up that way. Um, what's important to know is that these references that we're looking at right now in our EndNote library, they are just the reference information. They are not the full text of any articles or books or what have you that the references are referencing, for lack of a better term. So how do we get the full text? Is a tool that EndNote has they call the Find Full Text feature. So you are going to want to do uh, a little bit of backup for this as well because publishers are very stingy about their full text articles, and of course want you to pay. I'm sure you all have come across that whenever you find something online and they're like, "Do you want to pay $35 for this article?" And you go, "No, I do not." And as a librarian, I highly encourage you to not pay that $35. Uh, they make plenty of money elsewhere. Um, so, namely, the subscriptions that libraries and other institutions pay to these publishers. Um, so we're going to do a little more preference setup to help make sure that you get as much full text as possible without you having to hand add things. So coming back to our library's homepage here, we're going to go back to help and services and EndNote training here so that you all can come back to this whenever you need it. Um, I will add this link so you all can come back to it easily. But we're going to set up the Find Full Text feature in our settings, so it makes it really easy to do so. Um, so we're going to toggle back between our web browser and our EndNote library here. So coming back to our EndNote library, we are going to open our preferences slash settings. And instead of doing sync, which we've already set up, we're going to go to Find Full Text, which is the fifth one down because it's ordered alphabetically. And we're going to put in the same URL links here. I know that's kind of redundant URL link, but we're going to put in the same links here that you see in my preferences box and which you'll see in the link that I shared in the settings. I'm sorry, the meeting chat. So in the open URL path, we're going to include the uofl.on.worldcat.org link, and then in the URL text box here, we're going to include echo.louisville.edu link. And you can copy and paste these. Here, I'll go ahead and add these to the chat as well so you all can copy and paste as needed. Not that I'm expecting you to completely follow along as I'm going through. If you would like a recording of the session, please feel free to email me and I'll get that to you as soon as we're able to upload it to our YouTube account. I don't like to spam people, so I don't send out the recording without people asking. But of course, I'm happy to send it to you afterwards if you would like. But this is basically we're adding in these links to our preferences because these show proof that you are accessing the university's proxy as a university member and therefore have the right to these full texts that we pay subscriptions to with the libraries. Because, as I said, a lot the publishers, of course, most of them require a subscription to their journals and the like. And we, as the university, pay for that. And you know, obviously, we want you all to have access to that, but we can't offer it to people outside the university because that's part of the contract. And there's a whole soapbox I can go on about that, but we don't have the time. So this is again just verifying that you adding in these links verifies that you're a member of the university and have access to the subscriptions that the university pays for. So that when you put these in and you hit apply, and again, if you need a refresher of how to do so, we do have our webpage here, which I've included in our chat box of how to do so. And you can just copy and paste those links after this training today. So that when I do go in and use the Find Full Text feature, I will just right click the references I would like to get find full text for. I highlight those, you right click the highlighted text, and you come down to find full text about midway down here. Select that, and you'll do the off-campus login if that's, do that sign in. Again, just verifying that you were logging into the university's proxy, verifying that you're a university member and have access to the resources that we pay for here. Um, and you'll click continue, and then it's kind of subtle, but when you do that, then there's the find full text pops up over on the left hand side here, and you'll see a searching. It's not foolproof, it's not going to find you everything, but it will let you know when it's found, you know, a full text PDF, and it just adds that for you, or sometimes it just finds the full text via URL and gets you that link. Um, so it's better than nothing. You know, it's better than having to hand add all 10 of these or what have you. Of course, it's not going to add a full text for the book that I created because there is no book. Actually, in fact, it's not going to find you any full text of books. It'll just be journal articles. And when find you full text, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it'll just be URL here, and you still have to hand add in uh, the PDF yourself, which you can do so by doing attach file, and then you'll see the PDF. And in fact, I will switch back over to my EndNote library here to show you an example of what that looks for. So you know you have a full text attachment when there's a little paperclip icon here. So when you see a little paperclip icon, you know you have a PDF attachment, and you can see it over the top, and then also there is summary edit PDF here, and you can view the PDF while you're still in the EndNote library. And then you have the option also of making notes in your PDF. There's a little kind of seems to be chat box icon here. When you hover over it, it says markup/annotation, and you can click on that. And so you can do things like add a sticky note, highlight, underline, and strike through text. So you can make your little notes on the PDF, and it saves it that way as well when you do so. So that kind of makes it handy that you have everything all in one place, right? You have all of your pertinent reference information, you have the PDF in one place, you have your notes on the paper in one place, and so that's why we kind of recommend using EndNote. It makes it really handy to keep everything all in one place and organized, and then we can also, you know, have it write up the bibliography and do the full text, the in-text citation for you. Just right quick, coming back to uh, our created library here, you also have the option of doing, there is another tool that I wish to point out to you of um, find duplicates. So under library here, you have find duplicates, and EndNote will just show you the two references that you have, or more if you have multiple duplicates of a reference, and you'll click which reference you wish to keep. And it'll send the unchosen duplicate reference to your trash. It doesn't fully delete it until you tell it to empty out the trash. But this is important because you want to, if you're pulling references from multiple databases, there's the high chance of you having duplicate references. Um, and you want to deduplicate before you start writing your paper, because if once you start writing your paper, you might ask it to insert a reference, and then you're trying to edit the duplicate reference in the EndNote library, and then it doesn't make the edits in your paper because you're not editing the paper that you told to reference, right? EndNote very much keeps track of which references uh, are synced to the paper and which ones aren't. Um, so it's just a matter of best practice. Go ahead and deduplicate, because EndNote can tell which ones you asked it to sync to, but if you're editing the duplicate paper where you didn't sync it to the paper, if you're editing the duplicate reference that you did not sync to the paper, then you know that's a human error and that's not EndNote's error. of, we're gonna quickly move on to our Word document so I can show you how to use EndNote within your Word document. So you can use EndNote in multiple word processing programs. So obviously Microsoft Word is the most common. Um, EndNote is compatible with Google Drive now. I'm sorry, Google Docs, just Google Docs, not the other Google Drive services, just Google Docs. Um, and I can actually let me quickly put that up for you. The do 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 how to use EndNote in Google Docs if that's something that interests you, because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I will add in how to start using it here in the chat, if that is something that you are interested in as well. But I'm going to show you how to use it in Microsoft Word because that's the most common. It is, like I said, compatible with other word processors if need be. So when you download EndNote 21 for the first time to your computer, it's going to ask you to exit out of Microsoft Programs so it can upload itself. Because when you reopen your Microsoft Word for the first time, you'll see the EndNote 21 tab here. And we can then start using EndNote in our Microsoft Word to add in full text. I'm sorry, to add in in-text citations. So you can do so one of two ways. You can do insert citation here. You'll do the drop down and you can select insert citation and it'll pull up a little window here and it'll take a minute to connect if you're opening it up for the first time. Take a minute to connect to your EndNote library here. And then it basically comes up with a complete listing of all of your references in your EndNote, and you can search for which one you want by, typing in subject or author's name or year or what have you. It's just acting as control find when you type in the search box here. And so when I click search lung cancer and I click find, it just starts pulling up all of my references that are already in my EndNote library about lung cancer. So let's click on this one and say that works, and we will insert it into as our in-text citation here. So there we go. There's our article that we asked it to insert. So here's our in-text citation, and here's the bibliography that is now starting to write for us. And the bibliography will always be at the bottom of your Word document here. And like I said, you can also choose to select text. The second way that you can decide to insert a in-text citation is you go into your EndNote library here and you select the text that you wish to insert. So you highlight it in your EndNote library. You come back to your Word document. You click the Insert Citation dropdown and you select Insert Selected Citation. And there we go. And it follows the format of whatever citation style you've chosen, which you will find up here. So if we pull on the drop down next to style here, right now we're in the APA, the American Psychological Association citation style. But if we wish to do the AMA, the American Medical Association style, EndNote identifies that as JAMA for Journal of American Medical Association. You'll want to click on select other citation styles up at the top there and select JAMA. At the very bottom of the J's, they're alphabetically located. And click OK. And then it changes everything over automatically to the American Medical Association style. You have the option of adding in multiple in-text citations at once. It's just a matter of holding down the control button to select multiple references. So if I do pull up my window here and say I want to add in this one, and I'm just holding down the control button on my keyboard and selecting this one and say insert, and then it inserts these two articles as well. Um, if I decide that I don't want one as an in-text citation and I just want it in the bibliography, you go to edit and manage citations over here. Anytime you need to edit the in-text citations or the bibliography, make sure you're selecting edit and manage citations, meaning do not try and backspace something to get rid of it or use keyboard strokes to get rid of it. Make sure you are deleting something um, or editing something using the edit and manage citations function here, because if you just try and highlight something and backspace it with your keyboard, it's either gonna delete something that you may not want to delete, or it may repopulate at a different time because EndNote doesn't really know what you're trying to tell it when you use keyboard strokes rather than doing edit and manage citations. So let's say I made a mistake with this double citation here, and I just want to have one of them as in the bibliography and not the in-text citation. I can just select right here, show only in bibliography, and hit OK. And there we go. Um, if you are using a shared group with someone, and you're not able to see the references that have been shared with you, and that might be because you have to go in and select shared groups instead of libraries here when you were doing your insert citation. Other than that, I realize we only have a few minutes late. Like I said, I will definitely stay after to answer anyone's individual questions. But in the meantime, happy to help with any questions that you have. I'm accessible by email from the webinar invitation that you got today. Just feel free to email me if you have any questions, or if I'm not available, all of our librarians at Cornhusker Library are trained in EndNote and happy to help you troubleshoot. EndNote itself has its own tech support line that you can call. If you just go to, whoop, if you do EndNote contact or EndNote tech support, it'll be the first one that come up here in Google. And I'll, oh, so there you go. There's the pop-up that I was talking about earlier about EndNote 2025, which we'll probably be getting as a university next year. Um, so EndNote tech support is really great. They are the people who work for EndNote, and they've always been able to answer any of the questions that I've had using EndNote. And they are 24 hours Monday through Friday. So if you need help at 9 o'clock at night and I'm not available, EndNote tech support is a great place to call and ask for help from them. If it's 9 o'clock on a Sunday night and I'm not available and no tech support isn't available, I really recommend using just Googling your problem. A lot of different institutions use EndNote and are very helpful about offering troubleshooting advice. Plenty of places make how-to tutorials of how to use EndNote on YouTube, including EndNote itself. So it's a pretty friendly environment on trying to troubleshoot EndNote whenever there's an issue. And yeah, thank you so much for attending today's session. If you would like a recording of today's session, feel free to email me, and I will get you the recording as soon as it is uploaded in the next couple days here. And please feel free to email me with any questions you might have otherwise. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you so much for attending, and I'll stay on for any individual questions that people may have.